They enrolled in Sioux City's Morningside College, where they wore 50s-style matching raccoon coats and co-wrote a gossip column, Campus Rat, which carried a single byline. They studied psychology, but as Eppie admitted, in actuality, they majored in boys. On occasion, they would attend a party clad in the same outfit with a shared date. They dropped out in their junior year when they married on their birthdays in a fantastic double wedding that included 700 guests, 3 rabbis, a bridal party of 22, and mounted police. To no one's surprise, they wore identical dresses, veils, and hairstyles. Pauline married Morton Phillips, heir to a liquor fortune. Eppie's groom was Jules Lederer, who later founded Budget Rent-A-Car. After a double honeymoon, the twins were forced asunder when they followed their respective spouses to different cities. In 1955, the Lederers moved to Chicago, where Eppie donned the mantle of an affluent housewife and mother of Margot. She defined herself not as a twin, but as a wife, one so enamored of her role that she had the words Jules's wife stitched into the linings of her fur coats. It was Eppie who initially forged the path that would define both women's lives. She was a fan of an advice column in the Chicago Sun-Times called Ask Ann Landers, and when she discovered its columnist, Ruth Crowley, had died, she entered a competition to become the new Anne. The name Landers was chosen in tribute to a friend of Crowley's. The 29 candidates were given a set of identical questions. For her responses, Eppie, a master puppeteer, pulled strings. For one letter concerning legality, she contacted Supreme Court Justice William O. Douglas, and for another, dealing with the issue of interfaith marriage, she turned to Reverend Theodore Hesburgh, president of the University of Notre Dame. The incredulous editor assumed she was just name-dropping, but, after authentication, phoned her and said, "Good morning, Ann Landers." Eppie, buried under a barrage of letters, asked her twin for help. Pauline, desirous of a life more meaningful than could be derived from mahjong, embraced the opportunity. However, after 3 months, Lederer's editor prohibited her from farming out the advice. Bitten by the writing bug, Pauline decided to follow in her sister's footsteps, as she had followed her into the world 17 minutes behind, and clad in a black Dior gown and mink with a chauffeured Cadillac around the corner, Pauline applied to the San Francisco Chronicle. The housewife's sole qualification for the advice column? She had always been a wailing wall without portfolio. The editor was so taken with the responses and chutzpah that she returned home to a ringing telephone. Mrs. Phillips chose her pen name, taking Abigail after the prophetess in the book of Samuel. Then David said to Abigail, "Blessed is your advice, and blessed are you," and Van Buren for its old family presidential resonance. She was overjoyed at her new position. But Esther did not share her enthusiasm and cut off relations with her twin for several years. She still viewed her sister as the writer of Campus Rat. In 1958, Life magazine called their rivalry the most feverish female feud since Elizabeth sent Queen Mary of Scots to the chopping block. Several years later, they reconciled at an event and ran off to the ladies' room to gossip. For their 30th anniversary, they traveled around the world with their husbands and had an audience with another advice dispenser, Pope John Paul II. The twins, though cast in the same role, penned very different